Hi guys, my name is Seun Salami. Thank you for always watching all my videos. If you're just passing by and you stumble on the video, you're welcome. Yes, so some time ago I promised to do a video on the advantages of long distance relationships. Yeah, if there's any advantage at all to a long distance relationship. A long distance relationship, the way I look at it, is not the ideal situation, alright? It is not, if you have your way, it is something you should avoid. That's the honest truth. But if you're in it, or it is something you cannot avoid, for some reason you found yourself in a long distance relationship, it's not all doom. There's the good side of it, and that's what I want to try to share in today's video. Now, the first thing about long distance relationships is that the both of you are in two different places. Now, if the person stays within a driving distance from you, is less than an hour, you can't call that a long distance relationship, okay? Right? If you're if you somewhere you can just decide that, okay, I want to see her, and then you just take a drive and go. That's not a long distance relationship. It has to be something that takes effort, right? That you have to probably buy a plane ticket or take a 2-hour drive. Maybe you're living in Lagos and she's in Port Harcourt or somewhere. That's what you can call a long distance relationship. Lagos to Ibadan is not even a long distance relationship in my book, because that's an hour's drive. You'll be there in no time, right? So it has to be somewhere that it's difficult for the both of you. If you need to see each other, you have to plan to see each other. That's what a long distance relationship is. Or you're in Nigeria and the person that you're in a relationship with is in Canada or in the US or the UK. Yeah, that's what qualifies as a long distance relationship. Now, how do you make the best of this time? This is one of the best relationships that you can be in, believe it or not, because you see, these relationships where you guys are in close proximity, a lot of things happen. There's the good side of that, and there's also the bad side of it, right? Because familiarity usually breeds content, and no matter how much in love you are with someone, the more of that person you see, the more of that person you experience, there's something called the law of diminishing returns that begins to set in, and you begin to see this person as somebody you're used to. You get so familiar with the person. That's why I wonder about people who are not married and they begin to live together. That's just, it's, I know in this part of the world it's so common that when you mention it, they look at you like, what are you talking about? Like, what's the big deal in that? But it's so funny, because by the time you begin to live with somebody that you're not married to, being married to somebody that and living together is a lot of work, even, because there are going to be times where you will have to deliberately train yourself not to treat this person with contempt, to still appreciate this person. How much more someone you're not married to? The more of the person you see, the more of the person you experience, it just becomes something that you're used to. So you no longer value it. There's no more freshness. There's nothing valuable anymore. And if or when you guys eventually decide to get married, there's almost nothing to look forward to anymore. Right, and then that's why you see that they get into marriages. It's not in all cases. Some cases they still go on, fine. But in most cases, you find that after a while they get tired of each other, and that's just a natural thing, right? The best way to know somebody is to know their values, know their principles, know their likes, know their dislikes, know where they're coming from, know their past, their present, and the future, right? Know their past, understand where they are and where they're trying to get to. That's really knowing someone, knowing their past, their present, and then where they're trying to go. That's really knowing someone, not knowing somebody intimately, physically, before you get married to the person. Because you're in the same house, you're living in the same house, you see this person, all the time, when they're wearing clothes, when they're not, and that's just a nice way to put it, right? So you know what I'm talking about, and you guys do almost everything together, and at the end of the day, it just becomes like a marriage without the contract, and you don't want to find yourself in that situation. So a long distance relationship actually helps you to keep your relationship fresh, keep it interesting, because you guys still have a lot to look forward to. The most that you can do is to talk on the phone, have these conversations online, do FaceTime all the time, Skype, and whatever it is, and what that should do is to help you to focus on communication. Like I always say, focus on knowing the person. That's really what a courtship period is about. It's trying to understand the person's mind, understand where this person is going, understand where this person is coming from, and how you fit into that picture. Ask questions, okay? Ask questions. Anything that looks like a gray area, don't sweep it under the carpet with "we love each other." Ask, whatever it is, ask, discuss different things, talk about money, talk about, what they like, what they don't like, what they want to do, when they get married, what they don't want to do, how many kids they want to have, how do you want to raise your kids, what part of the world you want to live in, are you the kind of person that, you've left Nigeria or Ghana or wherever you're coming from, and you want to live in Canada the rest of your life, or are you planning to go back home sometime? Those are things that you must talk about, because when you get married, these issues will come up. When you get married and you're trying to plan to settle down, there's going to be all these things that will come up, and you have to know beforehand the person that you are getting involved with, what they have in their head, where they want to be, where they're trying to go, and this is extremely important. So being away from each other should actually give you more room, to ask some of these questions without being intimidated by the person's physical presence. Okay, there are difficult questions sometimes that you might want to ask, like health related issues, for instance. Do they have any family history of any type of disease or any type of infirmity or stuff like that? Those kind of questions might be tricky to ask when the person is sitting right in front of you. But if it's over the phone, you can ask those questions and get answers. Okay, you might not be able to get the answers of body language, but at least you will hear the person's response, and from the tone you can know whether this person is being sincere with you or not. Okay, so communication is very key, and in a long distance relationship it is actually easier to communicate than when you're with somebody that you're physically attracted to. Even if you go on a date with someone that you like and you're interested in this person, you guys are sitting across the table, you might try to talk, but at a point you start getting carried away with all these attraction things and chemistry and whatnot, and you start talking about, oh, I like your eyes and I like your hair, and when you're focusing on the real issues, you will start getting carried away with all these flimsy things, and start talking about how the person walks, how the person smiles, how it makes your head go crazy and stuff. And really, that's not going to help your relationship. Honestly, it's not going to take you anywhere. It will make you feel good at the moment, right? And make you, you guys feel like, oh, we love each other, we're in love. But after a while, when reality sets in, trust me, when you get married, right, and you have to start dealing with issues, you have to start dealing with kids and all of these things, those things are not going to help you, because the person's color of eyes will change sometimes to red, from blue, because of bills, right? And you realize that, man, this is not the person I married, okay? Because you didn't take time to actually know the person. You were just focusing on physical attraction and all these other things that really don't count at the end of the day. Okay, so if you're in a long distance relationship, see it as a blessing actually, and focus on talking to this person, trying to know this person in and out. That's it. Let's move on. Now, when you're in a long distance relationship, it is easier to overcome sexual temptation. Now, I'm not saying there is no sexual temptation in a long distance relationship. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is that it is easier when you don't see the person all the time than when this person comes to your house every Sunday. Those are two different things. Okay, so if you're living in somewhere that is far away, okay, and this person has to save up to buy a plane ticket, at least that it's once in a while that the person is going to visit you, and that little time you can prepare yourself, okay, and prepare your mind as if you're serious about waiting to be married before you have sex. You will know that you should prepare your mind for that time frame, and work out strategies that will help you to keep yourselves at bay, okay, for that period of time that you're going to see each other. But for somebody whose boyfriend or girlfriend visits every weekend, right, it's more difficult. After a few visits, things will start getting out of hand. It's just a natural thing, just a natural process. All this talk of it's not a big deal. You will just find out that from one thing will lead to another thing, and before you say jack, a lot of water has passed under the bridge. So you want to appreciate the fact that this your long distance relationship is at least keeping you in check, okay, giving you some time to work on your relationship before you get married without that pressure of the physical intimacy. Because what happens with physical intimacy is beyond the fact that the Bible says it's wrong and all of those things, we people don't like to hear anymore. Just looking at it the way it is, right? Once you get intimate with somebody, you lose your sense of reason, your sense of logic about the entire situation. You will start avoiding the red flags. You start seeing white as black, and things will become some way vague to you. There's so many things that other people outside that relationship would be saying and pointing out that you will not be able to see, and it's simply because your sense of judgment has become clouded by your physical experiences. So you want to stay away from that. If you're in a long distance relationship and you're somewhere, the person is somewhere else, at least that aspect of it is taken care of in a way, and you can focus on the more important things. So that's one thing. Now the other part of it is that if you're somebody who is serious about knowing God and finding God and seeking God, the time when you're single is actually the best time of your life to get to know God and to seek God the way you really desire to. Because once you get married, even the Bible says that when people get married and they have responsibilities, it is more difficult. It's not impossible, but it becomes more difficult. Now you have to go the extra mile. You have to go out of your way, right, to try and create time for your family, create time for work, create time for your family, and still focus on God. But when you're single, you can do things. I mean, the best of the things that I've done, in my work with God, the things that I did when I was a single guy, when I was in school, and I had all this time on my hands to do whatever I wanted to do, and and those were the times when I was really, really able to do the things that I sincerely desire to do. The things I want to do these days that can't even do. I mean, there was a Bible school that I wanted to apply for recently, and I think I read the website, and I read the rules that if you want to come to that school, you actually have to come with your spouse. And if you're a married person, okay, but if you're single, you're free to come by yourself. And I understand where that is coming from, because there are some people who would go to schools like that and meet other people, and then they say they no longer like their wives and they want to marry this new person, right? So they'd rather have you in that environment with the person you're married to. But if you're single, there's no such concern for you, right? You can do whatever you want to do, and so this is really the best time, in my opinion, for you to get to know God, get closer to God, and then you would also be able to find yourself before you can go and join yourself to another person. At least you understand yourself, you will know yourself in that time where you have to be by yourself. Once you get married, your life is no longer your own, right? Once you get married, things change, and it's a different ball game. So you want to enjoy this time. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you've not subscribed, please do so that you know when I have a new video out. I usually have new videos out on Fridays at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in Canada, and if you're in Nigeria, that's 5 a.m. on Saturday morning. Check out some of the other awesome videos I have on the channel, and I will see you again, God willing, next Friday. God bless you.